All right, here we are again. Light's a little weird. Here we are again, another awesome little Friday stream. Hey, if we haven't met before, my name is Sopak, and I make videos about making videos, shooting photos, and editing tips. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, and maybe you want to learn some more about that, why don't you go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. I am really excited to do this little Friday stream with y'all. Hope you're doing really well. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and roll that intro. Boom. All right, cool. We are here. I'm sorry, I'm messing with my light here. I think my batteries might be dying, so we're going to hope that that doesn't have any issue at all during the stream here. I'm going to check and see who's here in the chat. On this beautiful Friday, it's a little chilly outside. That's why I've got my denim jacket on. And Friday streams, it's kind of like a normal thing that's been happening here lately. We got middle-aged vlogger. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Hey, if you have questions at all, please drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them for you. Today's stream is more so focused around just answering your questions, talking about camera gear specifically, and what kind of gear you're interested in, and what kind of gear I really enjoy. So specifically camera gear questions, but if you got more, I'm more than happy to join in and have that conversation. We got more people jumping in the chat. Sanju, hey, what's up? User 102, love that name. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. We got more people. I'm totally gonna butcher these names. Abinshek, what's up? Winlin, hey, hope everybody's doing well today. Oh man, it feels really good. We're heading into the fall season. Pumpkin spice lattes are already out and about in the world, which is really wild. Like I said, it's a little chilly where I live this morning, so I'm feeling like fall is just around the corner, and typically that means that there is a good amount of new gear coming out, and so I'm really interested to know what are some pieces of gear that you're particularly excited about here coming up in the new year in relation to the creative stuff. My man Isaiah Kajumba is in the house. Hope you're doing well, my man. Hey, if you're looking for someone who has if you're looking for inspiration when it comes to photography and you're into fashion or street photography, please go check out my friend Isaiah. He is the best. He is so stinking good at what he does. Such a cool dude. So you can check him out on Instagram. I will give him a shout out because he is a dear friend of mine. But yeah, got to get that PSL. You know what? I had a cup of coffee earlier, and I thought that I'd be able to get through this stream without another cup. So we'll see how long that lasts as we go along. Someone says underrated channel. Well, thank you so much for that there. Okay, my wife is texting me too. I'm getting these notifications. Hey, if you got questions, drop them in the chat. Okay, Sanju's asking Sony or Canon. As that's where we're going. First question, huh? Hot button topic. So if you guys know me, I am definitely a Sony shooter. Love Sony, learned on Sony. My first camera, which I always have at the ready, is this Sony A6300, which has a cage on it and a little zoom lens. This is my first camera, and I learned on Sony, got introduced into the creative space with Sony cameras, so I've just never really looked back. However, Canon is also an amazing camera brand. I think whatever camera brand you have or whatever camera brand you love, and it works for you, like that's all that matters. Like, don't worry about, oh, you have to get this one or that one. I mean, they're all good, really, except for Nikon. I'm just joking. If you have a Nikon camera, I love you. Sorry, I got a setting here. No, there's a lot of people give hate on Nikons. I'm not particularly sure why. I don't really see too much out in the wild. But if you know, there's a guy on YouTube, Sam Newton. He talks a lot about the hate for Nikon. He does these like really funny like parody videos in particular, and yeah, a lot of hate for Nikon. Um, let's see who else we got here. Panther Streaming from Sri Lanka. We got Milaj. He's from India. Doctor Rohan. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna butcher names. Said, hey Zach, what's up, everybody? The real LSD. What's up, guys? Hope you're doing really well. What kind of pieces of gear are you excited about here for the coming fall season? In particular, I'm interested to see what happens in the camera space, because like last year we had this crazy influx of new cameras come out, and particularly like July to the end of the year, and it's kind of been quiet so far. I mean, there's been some more like entry level type cameras that have come out, but I'm really interested to see. I know like Canon's got the R3, which is crazy expensive, but it's kind of a really bomb looking camera. I'm really hoping to see something about a A7 IV from Sony. As you know, I am a A7 III shooter. I love the A7 III. I love the A7S III, which is more focused on video features, and it's really great. But I'm looking for hopefully somewhere in the middle for the A7 IV. Something like 4K, at least 60 frames per second video would be really dope, and like 10-bit color. Hold my hopes out, and a flip screen, because you know, Sony life, you don't always have a flip screen. Panther Streaming's got a good question here. Is the MacBook Air good for video editing? So in particular, the newest MacBook Air is fantastic for video editing. I would highly recommend, yeah, if you're looking to get into owning a Mac, you know, and maybe you want to edit with Final Cut Pro, or if you're already on a Mac and you want to like maybe upgrade an older machine, look into the newest M1 MacBook Air. And there's like a stipulation. there's a difference from their lowest level, which is like I think right at $1,000. If you go the next tier up, it's like the 7 gigs and 7 gigs of RAM graphics. I would do it's one has 7 and 8, which is like the entry level. The next jump up has 8 and 8, and I heard that that's like much better. I personally have an M1 MacBook Pro with the 16 gigs of the unified RAM, and it's been fantastic for video editing. I mean, I'm using it for streaming right now. Handles a lot that you throw at it, so that would be a huge recommendation. In my last stream too, I talked about checking out the refurbished section on Apple's website. Maybe we can dip into that a little later on. But yeah, MacBook Air, especially the newest M1. And that's the other thing too, when we're talking about new gear, like kind of heading into the fall, we'll be seeing some more stuff in development with computers, in particular with it looks like Apple. Maybe a new refreshed MacBook Pro, maybe. If that happens, then maybe the current ones that are already great, like, this 13-inch, like what I have, might hop down in price. So be something to keep your eye out for. Kyle Perkins, hey Zach, really enjoy your content. Good to see you live. Love from the UK. Well, thank you for joining from the UK. A good friend of mine is from the UK, and I've been learning more about football, as they call it over there, and soccer here, especially Premier League stuff. Always really cool to learn about. Oscar, hey Zach, a friend of mine is selling his A7R for extremely cheap. If I buy it, it will be my first camera. What do you think? I can get it cheaper than an A7 III, and it also comes with the 24 to 75 Tamron. If you can afford it, dude, go for it. uh, like seriously, that's amazing if they're willing to sell you the whole kit with that lens. Yeah, I mean, I would say go for it. Now it's the A7R4. I've not used the A7R series of cameras. The one thing I can tell you, it's got a higher megapixel count for your photos, which is really good if you're wanting to do stuff like I mean, more megapixels doesn't always mean a better like end product, but it kind of does. So having more megapixels in your camera will allow you to do like more cropping type stuff. So there's even a cool thing too with Sony cameras. It's a APS-C crop mode where it takes a full frame sensor and it punches in and like to reduce size of the sensor as if it was an APS-C sensor. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a full frame, but you get it like an APS-C look, and it cuts down on your megapixels. But since you have so many in the A7R4, it's almost like you're still getting a high number. Like this camera is a 24 megapixel camera, and I have that crop mode on like one of my custom buttons. So I'm gonna punch in right here. Boom. So this is APS-C crop mode, and now it's more in on my face, and I've got to get further away from the mic. But you could do something like this with that camera, and no matter what lens you put on it, as long as it's a full frame lens, you could have one look here, and then you can have your crop mode, which is a 1.5 times zoom. Now it does cut down on the megapixels. You can't tell so much in this camera for video, like especially if you're in 4K, but in photos, like it crops the 24 I have down to 10. You'll have to look into it, but anyway, that's a really bomb camera. Just I would say mess around with your settings for your RAW. Like make sure you have a computer that could handle those larger like camera files when it comes to like your photos. So hopefully all that makes sense. It's a little bit more of a kind of a little trick that you can do with those full frame Sony cameras. But dude, if you can do it, just go for it. From South Africa, buy once, cry once. I don't know what that means. Okay, Sanju wants to know. That was a great question, by the way. A7R4, that APS-C crop mode. That's a little hackety hack that gives you some more variety in your lens choices. Sanju wants to know, how do you achieve sharp focus? So, how do you achieve sharp focus? Well, you have to have a lens that is sharp. So that's, I mean, that might be a little like plain and cut, but making sure you have a lens that has a decently sharp image. Some kit lenses are not particularly sharp, like the ones that might come in like a camera package. So that would be one thing. Let's say you do have something like a prime lens, like I've got a 1.8 lens that I'm currently shooting with. When you stop down a lens, and I just happen to have this is a vintage lens. This will be a good representation though. So you can't really do this so much with modern lenses now, but with your lenses, if you're wanting to get a sharper image, so if you're at like 1.8, if you stop your lens down to like f2.8, then typically lenses will get sharper. They'll have less vignette in your image, and that will in turn give you just a sharper look. So like you would be doing this, you're like closing the aperture down a bit, and just most lenses in general, like if you have chromatic aberration like purple or green fringing around stuff, when you stop the lens down, that normally gets corrected. If you have vignetting around the edges, like darker edges, stopping it down will typically correct that. And also sharpness, you'll get more sharpness. Certain lenses though, when they're wide open, they're stupid sharp. Like I love this 20mm lens for that reason. A lot of Sigma lenses typically are like that. Even some Tamrons too. So if you have like a 1.8, you could stop it down. Same thing with the 2.8. If you stop it down, as long as you've got enough light, that'll definitely help to get you a sharper image. Let's see here. We got more people jumping in. Ifran, what's up? Leo, my man. All right. User 102, what lens do you recommend for a landscape and a bit of architectural photography? My budget's around $500. I mean, just get a wide, like, nice wide lens. 24 would be dope. Depends on what camera you have too, because if you have a camera with a crop sensor, then whatever lens you get, you have to multiply it by 1.5, and then that will give you the actual focal length of your sensor. And then if you have something like a micro 4/3, it's even more than that. So then you have to do, like, you got to get a lower number lens to like compensate for it. So if you have a full frame camera, then I'd suggest going for something, really wide, like 24 or less. Be a good way to go. Winlin, how do you take care of your camera? I just learned that the lens could get fungus if you don't. Yeah. So, I mean, just regular cleaning. I will be the first to admit that I am not the best at that. Now, when it's something like this lens right here, this is like this Helios 44-2. It's like a Russian made lens. There's like a million variations on this thing, and it's got a little adapter. So this is what the lens actually looks like. Hold that up. A little beat up. Lens actually looks like, and then this is just a cheap little converter that makes it Sony E-mount. And the thing, like, vintage lenses, older lenses have more of that fungal kind of issue, or could have that. There's definitely some stuff on this lens that I can't correct, just because I can't get in there, and I'm not willing to pay a ton of money to try to get it fixed because it was already a cheap lens. But yeah, with other, like, the zoom lenses, I think inevitably, if they're not an internal zoom, like this camera has an internal zoom, or this lens, you're less likely to get dust and stuff inside of here. But if you have a camera lens that zooms like extending out, then just kind of over time, you're gonna get some stuff inside of the lens. So just regular cleaning is best way to go about it. Get yourself one of those like rocket blowers, like the little thing that puffs the air, and then you can get like a lens cleaning kit. I normally get I have like a cheap one I got off of Amazon, but it's got stuff for the lens, got stuff for the camera sensor, all that, and that'll get you going. The real LSD. Do you prefer your mobile camera or a DSLR? So I mean, these are technically mirrorless cameras, so DSLR's a little different. I prefer my, like, what I would call like my big boy cameras, like my quote unquote real cameras, even though you can do a ton of stuff with your phone nowadays. I just prefer it because of the quality. You're working with a bigger sensor. Like, in comparison, I've got my phone right here. Like, so my phone has these tiny little camera sensors. Shout out Low Pigeon Coffee in Santa Barbara, by the way. So, like, these little cameras, like, they get a good image, but it's nothing in comparison. And I mean, it's getting closer, but still in my mind, it's nothing in comparison to like a bigger full frame, like, real sensor. There's just something with like the depth of field, the amount of information that you can get into your image that just makes it look really, really fantastic. So that would be, that's what I love. And then I get more options too with like frame rate and color. I mean, for photo and for video, I definitely prefer like the big, big boy cameras. But having your phone on you is sometimes the better camera because it's with you at all times. So if you're trying to just get something real quick to capture the moment, then your phone is better for that because you don't have to get it out of your bag and then make sure your camera is good and all your settings. It's like you can just pull it out, boom, snap it, and you're good to go. Malaysian Tech Master, love from India. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Pipix Hub. I'm quite confused how to edit all kinds of images. Could you help me? I would suggest checking out my Lightroom playlist. I go through all the different stuff on there that you could possibly want to know pretty much about Lightroom. It'll be really good. Yeah, user 102. I just saw what you said there. Yeah, good bunch of tutorials. Yeah, just check it out. It'll get you started, and you'll start to know exactly what you're doing there. I heart you back, Sahal. Let's see. Tutorials show me like how you edit them, how you give them tones. Yeah. Trying to big views. No. Pipix. That's everybody starts there, not really knowing what to do. So that's why I love making those videos, to try to help people out and just kind of get them going on the right track with their editing. So you can go ahead and check that out. And then yeah, so it's mainly learning all that type of stuff, and then you can do things like presets for Lightroom and all that. I think a lot of people, even though I have my own, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that type of stuff, which they're good and they help you to get a certain look and they make that style repeatable. But the thing that's more important is learning how everything works and like why you're getting these tones. And so that's really the bigger deal, is like learning how to do the stuff and understanding like what a preset does for you. That's all. Rocket blowers are the best. All right, can you do a video about your color grading process? Yes, I can, and I should do that. It probably would surprise you. It's more minimal than probably what people would think. I mean, at least with like talking head stuff like this, I've got a pretty repeatable process where on Sony cameras you can do a certain picture profile. I've got like a certain picture profile that I use, and I've already got my own kind of like preset with color. As far as like LUTs go, I'm like working on some LUTs that I want to post soon. But basically, I'm just kind of using that same general preset, and then just doing minor adjustments with saturation and exposure to color correct the images there. Oscar wants to know, did you study photography and video? So I'm guessing, so the answer is yes. Now, if you're asking if I went to school for these things, no, I did not. But I did study, and I still study, and I still learn like every single day, basically through just people who inspire me. I mean, my God, who hasn't learned something from like Peter McKinnon on YouTube, or like Matty Hapoya? Who else? There's like just tons of people that like when I was first getting into YouTube that really inspired me. And then it was like I just learned so much along the way that I felt like it was my turn to start giving back to people. And so that was really the genesis of my whole channel and the whole concept. Is I'm just a dude who shoots videos. I take photos and edit things, and just as another creative to another creative, like I just want to be able to help give value to people. And I've talked about this multiple times in the past, but like one of my favorite artists, like if artist in general, it doesn't have to be one particular medium, but one of my favorite artists is Bob Ross, which people kind of laugh at. Like I love that dude's, first of all, his painting style is like really ridiculous to me, and like he's got this like crazy wow factor when he'll like go at, like you'll be like, what the heck are you doing? And then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, this dude just made a mountain come out of nowhere, like that type of stuff. But I always loved his approach to his teaching, and like he doesn't make it like he doesn't make it so big and so like high level for people that they can't understand what's going on, but really drops it down into more basic terminology and kind of like this reckless abandon of like, whatever color we got here, we'll just throw it up. Like, but for a lot of people, it would be, or certain styles of teaching, I should say, it'd be like, okay, you got to have this very professional approach and blah, 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 blah. And here's your color palette. And, here's all the stuff that you do. And here's the proper technique. And he's just kind of like, hey, whatever you want to do, like, it's fine. Like, it's good. We'll just throw it up there. There's no mistakes. There's only the happy accidents. So, that's my Bob Ross rant. But I just love that style. And so I try to invoke some of that type of stuff whenever I'm explaining things and trying to break down what can be complex concepts and hard to understand for a beginner. I really try to help shed light on it and not make it like this big pretentious thing, but like, here's what it does, or like, here's what the name is, here's what the industry name is, but this is what is actually happening. So that was like the video I posted yesterday. Like, I don't know if I might have triggered professionals by saying like how to get a blurry background in your photos, because that's what people are actually wanting to know. But like, the proper terminology is, how do you get a shallow depth of field, or how do you get bokeh in your background? But anyway, so there you go. That was my big rant, on whether or not I studied that stuff. Oscar, are there ways to learn and compose photos? Yeah, go out there and practice. Yep, totally, Leo. I'm on there with you. Yeah, I definitely love all the questions. Something like that, I probably can't quite answer doing a live stream, but it just, the knowledge, like the information is out there. So like, if you're looking for knowledge on, dude, how do you do this? How do you do this? Like, for me, someone who's passionate about learning this type of stuff, I'm like, I'm gonna go find it. Like, if someone answers the question for me, fantastic. Like, that's awesome. That's really good. But your best bet is to go find that information for yourself. Because I've had some conversations with people where they're really like, oh man, I want to learn. Like, I've had people telling me like, I want to be in the film industry and I want to do this, and I'm really passionate about it. And so I was like, okay, that's great, that's awesome. But my next question is like, okay, what are you doing right now to make that happen? Well, I'm watching movies and blah blah, and it's like, okay, but like, do you have a camera? Yeah. Okay, are you going out and shooting? Well, no, I'm not really shooting right now. I'm just kind of like watching a lot of stuff. I was like, bro, you gotta go out. Like, you just have to go out and you have to start putting this stuff into practice, because you can only have so much head knowledge and like book knowledge, if you will, where it's all hypothetical and it's all like philosophical types of approaches. But until you actually get your hands dirty in what the process is, like, yeah, I can know like what could happen in a situation where maybe I have the proper camera settings, but until I'm out there in the field, like trying this stuff out, it's not going to really sink in, like land with me as it would otherwise. Like, like there's like, and learning from mistakes is so huge. Like, I can't tell you like the first time I had jacked up audio for a video, and it's like, well, coming back, like, I can't fix that in the editing, so I'm gonna just make sure I never make that mistake again. Like, and learning through that whole process. So anyway, yeah, just get out there and practice. Like, do your thing. You'll figure it out eventually. Learn, consume, and then make and create and repeat. All of that. Are you a freelancer? Kind of on the side. Not really so much. I have a full-time job doing graphic design and video, which I love. But YouTube and then like any sort of additional stuff that I would do, that's all considered side hustle right now. Inevitably, I want this to become my full-time gig. I know it will happen eventually. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if it happens. So when it happens, this will be my full-time gig, and then I'll do some freelance stuff on the side. I agree when you see Zach and guys like prefer it's really difficult. I suppose it just takes time. Yeah, it does take time. Yeah, I mean, and it's everybody's got that. Some people are really good. Like, I'm really good with the information. So it's like, okay, boom, information. I know how to set all the things properly. Some people have like really good eyes for like composition and lighting and stuff, but they don't understand this quite as fast. So like my wife is really good with the composition, the lighting, and why don't we try it from this angle? And but it's funny because then she's like, all right, can you like set the camera up for me? And then I'll set the camera up for her, and then she can take a really dope photo. So anyway, stuff like that happens too. So I think it's just different for everybody. What's the difference between the desktop version of Lightroom and Lightroom mobile? Um, so it's as long as it's the standard like Lightroom, there's not really a difference between the desktop version and the mobile version, except you can just do like different types of like exporting and maybe a few little other things on the desktop version. Now, if you're talking about Lightroom Classic, there is more differences as far as the whole UI, UX. There's some additional controls. There's like tons of other things you can do with like composition and stitching. I think you can do stitching in the regular Lightroom on desktop, but you can't do it on mobile. But Lightroom Classic also has one really dope slider thing. Sorry, I got something in my throat. Called a photo calibration, and that's kind of like the secret sauce for a lot of people when it comes to making some really unique like tonal changes to your photos. So if you've not tried that yet, I'd suggest giving that a shot because it's really cool. But you can do a ton of stuff on mobile. You also on desktop have more options for like your exporting, so you can be a bit more specific to the quality, and that's also an important thing. That's why I like the classic Lightroom Classic, excuse me, on desktop, because you can choose like your P P DPI PPI. It's like the amount of pixels. I really should know this right now. What's up, Deb? But anyway, you can change that like 72 DPI, I believe is how it is. That's for like screen resolution. 300 or higher or in the middle is more for print. So anyway, all that. Learning photography. Yeah, great channel. Go check it out. What other questions we got here? Hey, thanks for all the questions, being so active, everybody. I'm loving this. What's It's like the world can be unfair with all the hunger and famine in other places in the world. So with that, I ask you, what is your McDonald's order? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I mean, not the famine and the hunger, but the way you just phrased that question was really hilarious. Um, Man, I haven't had McDonald's in such a long time. Typically, if I'm having McDonald's, I'm having breakfast. So, I'll when people ask me these questions, I normally don't go with like my favorite, but I go with like the first thing that comes to my mind. It's gonna sound a little weird, but just follow me. Especially if you're like a sweet and savory kind of person. Thank you. It's PPI, pixels per inch, maybe. But anyway, my McDonald's order is for breakfast. I get like a sausage McMuffin and grape jelly with it. I put grape jelly on the sausage McMuffin, and I get a hash brown. And that's kind of like a classic breakfast. Yeah, and he did that, and so I did that, and I love it because like you get like the salty like sausage patty, and then like you can get the sweet from like the grape jelly, but then it's also on like the English muffin, which I would put jelly on an English muffin anyway. And those hash browns, man, you just can't beat a McDonald's hash brown. So if you're watching and you're a sweet and savory person, please let me know, because like I said, it's a little weird for some people, but I feel like there are some other people that would totally get where I'm coming from with that one. um, all right. So let's see here. A very big fan of your channel. I love your content, so please consist with your content. Oh, be more consistent. Trying. Trying. Sometimes it's tough, especially just sometimes in life are busier than others. But I feel I'm probably gonna batch record a lot of stuff because we got a baby coming in the next few weeks, so I'm not gonna be available. Oh, here's something too. I wanted to mention this earlier on. I want to do a or a series on here on YouTube of editing your photos. So I made a post about this on the community section and also on Instagram, but it's something that I want to do. So I'm asking you, send me your best, your favorite photos, or just one, maybe two. But the email that you can send them to is zsphotoedits@gmail.com. In fact, I'm going to put that in the chat so that way we don't mess out. zsphotoedits@gmail.com. Boom. So that way you guys have it. I would love to edit your photos. I think it just would be a cool series because I just love seeing what other people are doing, and then I get to kind of put my spin on it, as well as hopefully show you guys some more techniques on just how to edit, how I would edit. Maybe you'll learn something that you don't currently know, and that'd be cool. So if you had one lens, what would it be? I would say if I had one lens, I don't currently own this lens, but it would probably be something like a 24 to 75. I think like that would be kind of like the sweet spot, 24 to 75, f2.8, because that's typically how it's made. I mean, perfect world, like 24 to 75, 1.8, but that lens would probably be stupid heavy. So I would say that because you get like the nice wide focal range with like, you get a 24 focal range, 35, which is my favorite, you get 50, and then 75 would push you close to the like 85 range. So I think that would be kind of like, if I could only have one lens, that's probably what I would get. And I've actually considered getting rid of all my lenses and trying to just do the minimal style with just the one lens, but not there right now. Leo still have to decide which photo to send. Yes, please do, man. Congrats on the baby. I've got a ZV-1. Any tips on getting the best out of it for the features? Best out of the features for YouTube. So I've got a good friend, Ben Johnson, who I talk about often. He just hit 100,000 subscribers, which is so cool. He's got a really good video on the ZV-1. I think the main thing is making, like, if you want to shoot in 4K, as long as you're whatever computer or whatever thing you're using to shoot with, sorry, I just had a brain fart. Whatever you're using to edit your stuff with, as long as it can handle it, like, try shooting 4K. I think you get the most like blur in your background when that camera is at its widest. So I would do that, but there's other cool accessories that you can add on to it. So I'd really encourage you check out my friend Ben Johnson Creative and his ZV-1 video. He has a couple of them actually, and he would probably be the better resource for that. How about one focal length, prime lens? I'd choose 35. I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Leo. 35 is my jam, especially the 35, the Sony 35 1.8. It's not their most expensive lens. I know they have a 35 1.2 now and like a 1.4 as well. I've heard amazing things about those, but the 1.8 just gets really close focusing. So like 35 is my favorite, especially if it has a close focusing distance, because then you can do not macro shots, but you can get this larger perspective. Like the 35 that I own is the lens that has like the closest focusing, and it's just adds a really cool perspective to stuff. So like when I shoot a lot of my B-roll, I shoot it on 35. 85 would be nice because you get more of that compression and like more depth of field, but my 35 doesn't have, it's got a very like far focusing distance, so it doesn't work too terribly well all the time for that. Can you make a video about mobile videography? Love from India. It's something that I've considered. I may have to do that in the future. I just so much more prefer like using cameras, but mobile videography, I think I could do that. I used to do it a lot when all I had was just a phone. Actually, randomly, I have on my desk, this is my old iPhone 6. No, this actually might be a 7, iPhone 7. But I had a phone like this and like a 6S, and I used it with everything. I just had like a little Gorilla Pod, and then I'd put the phone on the Gorilla Pod, and I had this little Bluetooth remote. It was like a cheap setup. You can get it for like $20 or whatever. And then I would do like little Instagram stories. If I can find them, I'll have to post them on social. They were like, it's kind of like mini vlogs type stuff. I was really inspired by Jesse Driftwood at the time because he just does the coolest Instagram stories. But yeah, I'll look into that. And then if anybody's got suggestions on like editing apps, I've heard good things about LumaFusion for like an iPhone or for mobile. I don't know if it's on Android, but yeah, any suggestions on editing apps would probably be a good thing too. That would help me out. What else we got here? Deb's all about 35-1.8. Let's go. Yeah, that's my favorite lens as well. Oh, and the autofocus is so good. Love that lens. Yeah, that 35, man. It's good. It's good. There's definitely like some of the chromatic aberration at 1.8, and I know some people don't like the way that the bokeh, like the out of focus stuff renders, but I like it. It looks pretty good to me, and it's super sharp. It has like that sliding focus motor, which is the same one that this camera has, or I'm sorry, this lens, the 20 mil. So it's like pretty snappy, pretty quick. I don't know. I don't have it on like the best focusing mode right now. What were your favorite photos? What were what was the favorite photos that I've ever taken? Oh man, favorite photos I've ever taken. Man, I gotta think about that. Favorite. You know what? I had somebody ask me that. I had someone ask me that recently. I'm gonna actually dig into it and find out because now that's just got my brain moving. What are my favorite photos? Oh, okay. So again, I don't go by favorite necessarily. I just go by what I really enjoy, or I try like whatever first comes to mind. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe that means it's my favorite. This is like really poor. This is not good. I'm not even gonna show you, but I got a picture of some palm trees. I got like one that I put up on Unsplash. If you follow my account on Unsplash, this guy here, that was also kind of a fun one, even though the sky was sort of basic. This is such a weird thing that I'm even doing this. One of these guys, that was fun. That was a trip going back to Florida. This one, I didn't take this one or the next few, but this is a friend took some of my wife and I. We were actually taking pictures of some of our other friends, and they returned the favor. This is another one I did not take. That's when we found out we were having a baby girl. The best part, so like you can see the excitement on my face. Just check out my wife's face is so freaking funny. I love it. So yeah, those are a few of my favorites. I didn't take all those, but you know, they're enjoyable for me. And yeah, it's a good question. I'll have to think more about that type of stuff. So random. That's not even like the best way to show off this stuff. But anyway. All right. Moving on. Leo's still got an iPhone 7. Yeah, dude, just hold out then. Hold out for the newest one when it comes out. What else here? What's in your everyday photography kit? So I do have a video that I did a few months ago on like my what's in my camera bag kind of thing. So you can definitely check that out on the channel. But mostly I just carry my A7 III and I carry a few prime lenses. Typically my 35mm just lives on the camera pretty much all the time. And then I'll bring my 20mm and my 85 as well, just so that way I've got the focal range, because I do have a zoom lens on this guy, but it's f4, and then it's made for a crop sensor lens or a crop sensor camera, so I don't typically use it too often. When you have time, can you recommend picture profiles of Sony? Yeah. So Leo uses HLG2 a lot. Yeah, I messed with the HLG profiles a little bit, and they're good. They just, I don't know, it just didn't work the best for me. The one that I use, I might have talked about this last stream, but I'll give you a rundown on what I use. Well, I'm not even on it right now. Now I'm on it. So that's without a picture profile. That's with it on. Get a little bit of dynamic range. So the one that I use for recommendation, Deb, for you to try out. So I use Cine 4 as my gamma. I use color mode, ITU 709 matrix, and I keep the saturation pretty normal, and I do just a little less on the sharpening. In that normally is pretty good. It gets you a decent image that you can still manipulate, because Cine 4 has a lot of dynamic range, but the colors are pretty accurate. All right. Why is this hiding you, Leo? Show. Thank you. All right. Oh yeah. How do we send you a photo to edit? Leo, you were just like the man, dude. Yeah, so there you go. Monder, how's it going? It's going really good. User 102 uses log a lot. Yeah, I use log mostly like when I'm at work and I'm shooting with we have an A7S III at work, and it's got like the 10-bit color depth. That's when I use like S-Log 3, and especially on the A7S, that camera just handles it like a champ. And then like I'll take that, and then inside of Final Cut is what I use to edit with. I'll just use the built-in like correction LUT, so then I put that on top, and then just do whatever sort of color grading and stuff I want to do on top of that. But yeah, gets it in a good starting point. Yeah, right. Yeah, Deb's like, this is so hard because there's so many picture profiles. It's true. It's so true. Yeah, and I think like for different people, like your preferences are different, so you can totally change things around that way. But yeah, so I used to shoot more with HLG, and I did like any of the Cine gammas. I've kind of messed around with. Cine 4 is the one that I tend to use the most. But yeah, it's good. So hey, if you guys got more questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm going to take a little sip of water. Shout out to Handlebar Coffee in Santa Barbara. Probably my favorite coffee place around. Who else are coffee people around here? I'm gonna make some more after this, because I've only had one cup so far this morning, and I'm a caffeine junkie. Also, hey, I just posted a video yesterday. If you're new and you're wanting to learn more about photography, how to get like more blur in the background of your photos, or depth of field, as they say, you could check that one out. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, and then let me know what are some more types of videos you'd like to see. I'm always curious to just know what you guys are all interested in. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. All right. Uh, I mean, I can talk COVID for a second. I don't really like talking too much about it. But first, holy crap, Deb, always coming in clutch. I so appreciate it. You're amazing. That's so great. Thank you. Um, how does COVID work in the States? It depends on the state, basically. And then you just be an adult and follow whatever guidelines I guess you feel are best. I don't try to get too personal about it with people. When do you plan on filming more Photoshop tutorials? That could be soon. I think maybe with the photo editing thing where I would edit your photos, I could potentially do some more Photoshop type stuff. Um, as well as maybe thumbnails in the future. Because Photoshop's kind of my jam. Like I use it all the time at work, and so I, I mean, I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp of the application. Um, and then specifically for stuff as far as photography goes, there's some cool things you can do. Like I know some people are sort of opposed to this, more purist, but like you can add in really cool stuff to your photos that were not there originally. Like I've got a video already on like how you can do a sky replacement in your photos in Photoshop with like 2 clicks. It's like super simple and it does a really pretty good job at it. You can also do, add in birds and flares and different things like that. But some people don't feel like it's it's not honest and it's not real. I feel like personally, I feel like it's just kind of part of it. But anyway, yeah. Um, which country are you in now? I live in America. I live in California. Leo, yeah, you got to try it yourself. Prefer HLG2 over HLG3 because of the skin tones and highlight roll off. It's a pretty good way to go. And thanks again, Deb. I love the dancing pair there. I emailed you your photo, video, raw image was not attaching, but I sent you a JPEG. Yeah, JPEGs are okay. Preferably raw, but and then also I may not edit your photos. I'll see. I'm just gonna pick the ones that I like and that I feel like I can, you know, show people that can like. How am I trying to say this? Like as long as it's something I feel like I can add value to other people while also editing and showing that one off. Love your content. Please teach me how to edit dark skin on Lightroom Mobile for that golden look skin tone. Yeah, I could probably dive into something like that. I mean, here's one thing is when you're messing around and like editing skin tones, this is true for photo and for video. Even though skin complexion is lighter and darker, depending on the person, they're, I mean, mostly everybody, like their skin tone lies in the same like general area. Like I could show you actually. It'd be better if I just talked about it this way. But if you've done anything with color grading, you'll know that like if you're using a vector scope, I'm gonna break this down though because not everybody understands this. Okay, yeah, this is a really poor. This is like a poor screenshot, but anyway, I'm gonna show you because I feel like it'd be worth it. Okay, so this is what basically a vector scope looks like. This is essentially a color wheel. Now, if you have an image in there, it would kind of like spread out, look more like spidery, and I could probably find something. But that line that goes up like in between red and yellow, that orangish line, that's like the skin tone line. So whether if you're white, black, Asian, Mexican, like no matter what your like ethnicity and skin complexion is with all of that, light skin, dark skin, whatever, uh, all that stuff will generally sit in that line, which like I always think is a pretty cool thing too, because like it just reaffirms that, you know, we're all like we're not too different, you know, like we're all in the same ballpark there. So anyway, that's like the vector scope. So when it comes to editing skin tones, it's all kind of the same, and especially inside of Lightroom, you can do stuff in particular like color grading or color mixing tabs. And if you mess around with the oranges, the reds, sometimes the yellow, like sliders, that will affect your skin tones a lot. And the other thing too is like some people's skin is more red looking, because like if they're fair skinned, then you'll see like more of their it's kind of like the blood working underneath the skin. Some people have more of an olive kind of like tone to your skin. So it's everybody's a little different, but in general, it's just kind of knowing where the skin tones lie. So hopefully that helps. Do you have some tips for mobile photography? I would say make sure the tips would be the same thing with normal photography. It's lighting, it's composition, knowing how the camera works is good, especially with cameras with small sensors. A lot of light really helps out to get a good looking image. Try sending the raw via WeTransfer. Man, Leo, you are like moderator, killing it, bro. Hey, what's up? What camera do you recommend for new beginners, especially in the field of filmmaking? I'm pretty biased. I try not to be, but I love Sony cameras. So for Sony and filmmaking in particular, I would suggest something like a Sony A6400, or you know, if you can afford a full frame camera, then you know that'd be a good way to go to. But yeah, something like get a good camera that can shoot like 4K, and it's not. I mean, 4K is pretty. It's more of the standard now than it used to be. Plus, even if you're shooting a 1080 video, you can like take 4K down to 1080, and it'll look really great. So I would suggest something like that. So what else do we got here? So basically, the vector scope just solved racism. Yeah, kind of. Oh man. No, we're not doing that. Okay. How would you rate a Sony A5100? Man, that's an old camera, right? Like I think that's older than the A63. Um, I mean, what are you doing with it? Like, I think mostly anytime I've ever heard about the A5100, it was like people who were wanting to do live streaming stuff. So I mean, it's okay, I guess. I don't really know. It's okay to shoot a video in 1080. I mean, if it works for you and it does what you're looking for, why not? I don't really know too much more about it though, to be honest. So can't really point you in a direction on like a rating or a grade. I mean, I'm sure it's not the greatest thing in comparison to like the newest and the latest and greatest camera, but I'm sure it's fine for whatever you're using it for. Probably gonna wrap up here soon. Been at this for an hour. Gonna need to eat some food here. Haven't eaten anything yet. I'm gonna say I'm intermittent fasting or something. That's like the excuse. It's like, oh, I forgot to eat. It's like, oh no, I was actually just intermittent fasting. So yeah, I'd appreciate if you guys have photos that you want to submit. I don't have a timeline necessarily on when I would do that series of photos to edit. Right now, it's just the accumulation. It's all of you sending your stuff, and then make sure you've got notifications turned on for when those videos do come out, so that way if you're in there, you can know it and you can share it with your friends, and they'll blow up, get a bajillion views. I don't know. It'll be a good time. But looking forward to the weekend. I've got some stuff I got to shoot here, product photography wise. Very excited about. So I was trying to think. There was like a video I did on product photography a little bit. Just because it's kind of like some stuff that I've been doing here lately. I might have to think of some different ways to work on it. Got to get that done. McDonald's order. Yeah, for sure. Always look forward to your live stream, Zach. Leo, thank you, brother. I'm going to have to make you a moderator or something, because you're actually killing it. Okay. Just did it right there. Done. Greatly appreciate the help, Leo. You're awesome. Right. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to discuss to solve the plans and problems in the world. Big fan of you from the Maldives. Awesome. That's so cool. I mean, I just love that you can connect from literally anywhere in the world. Maldives sound amazing. I'll have to check it out here one day. Okay, y'all. I think that's about it. As always, if you got questions about stuff that I use to make my videos happen, I've always got links down below. Got Lightroom presets if you're interested. It's always an easy way to help support. And I believe there's still codes if you want to use the code 50 off, like 50OFF. Then you can give 50% off the preset pack. Yeah, Leo, we'll just make you a mod. And if you don't want to be, that's okay too, bro. Just let me know. But I think that'll be it for today. I'll just say happy Friday. Until the next time, my name is Sopak. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.